Yesterday I taught you the planning objectives of the Indian 5-year plan. So what are the planning objectives? Planning objective means the what are the basic principles and basic ideologies of Indian 5-year plans for throughout the planning period, not for a particular time. So what happened? I told that there are three types of economy: capitalist, socialist, and mixed economy. Are there three types of economy, and which are the planning? India actually falls under mixed economy. And which are the planning objectives? Planning objective is there are four planning objectives. Number one, growth, modernization, safe lands, and equity. So, what is growth? Growth means increase in GDP or increase in national income. Modernization. Modernization has two meaning. First meaning is that modernization in technology, that means in production process, point number one, and point number two, modernization in social and lifestyle, social outlook, that means the improvement in lifestyle, improvements in thinking, other things. Self reliance means dependence upon ourselves, not on the other countries. So dependence regarding food production, dependence regarding technology, regarding industrial product or service sector. So we should not depend upon the other countries, we should depend upon ourselves. And last is equity means minimize the inequality in income and wealth. That means rich and poor people, should not be much gap between their income and wealth. So I have already explained previous day. Now the today's thing, agricultural sector. So regarding agricultural sector, uh, agricultural sector, that is till now 50 to 45 to 46% people are engaged with agriculture till now. At first it was 75% during first 5-year plan, just after 1950. So now what are the problems of the agriculture sector? Problems of the agriculture sector is, first is low productivity. What is the meaning of low productivity? The meaning of low productivity is, that means less production per unit of labor or less production per unit of the land. Second, disguised unemployed. Disguised unemployed, actually you know it very well because you read in previous class. So previous disguised unemployed means excess peoples engaged with agriculture sector which are not required. That means, suppose in a particular land there are five workers are needed and eight workers are working. So these excess three workers, actually they are excess workers and they have no contribution in agriculture activities. Next, high dependency on rainfall. Actually, most of the place in our country that farmers totally depend upon the rainfall. Yeah, because irrigation facilities is not developed, and they have most of the farmers, they do not have any financial power to buy the pump set or other things. So next, subsistence farming. What is the meaning of subsistence farming? Subsistence farming is that farming where the farmers consume whatever they produce. That means there is no marketable surplus. The farmers actually produce not to sell in the market but for their own consumption to earn livelihood. Next, outdated technology. Outdated technology means most of the farmers, they actually depend upon bull and plow cultivation. That means they do not use the high expensive agricultural machineries, and many of them, they cannot afford the HIV seeds and pesticide, chemical fertilizers. It is difficult to purchase by them. And conflict between the tenants and conflict between tenants and landlords. What is the difference? Tenants means who actually cultivate the land, not from their own land but from the other land. That means in the rich landlords, farmers, they are cultivating, they are called the tenants. So there is a dispute, and the main claim of the landlords is to give more percentage of the produce or agriculture production, and the tenants, that is they want to give less because their cost of production is high and manually they produce, there is no such expensive machines. Small land holding most of the land. Actually, agriculture farmland is such small in India that it is difficult to use the expensive machineries like the tractors or large harvesting machines. Next is coming uh, policies of the policies for growth of agriculture. In the case of growth of the agriculture, there are two types of reforms are there, you should know, and one is a land reform and another is agricultural green revolution. So just let us discuss one by one. First is land reform. First is land reform. What is land reform? Land reform is taking away the land from the rich farmers and distributing among the poor. Yeah. So why this happens? Actually, just after the independence, it was found that some farmers they have huge land and some farmers they have no land. They could not cultivate the land. Yeah, they were the landless agriculture workers. They did not give any scope to cultivate the land of the rich landlords. So it was a duty of the government to take away the land from the rich landlord and distribute among the poor. And regarding these matters, two states were successful. Which are the two states in land reform implementation of the land reform policy? These two states are, one is West Bengal and another is Kerala. These states were too successful. And why these two states were successful? Because the Communist Party came in power in 1977 in both the states. And that's why their agenda was implementation of land reform policy, and they become quite successful to implement this policy. But other states like the Bihar, UP, Haryana, Punjab, this land reform policy did not get any success. And another, the land reform case of the percentage of the share. How much percentage of the produce will go to the or agricultural crops will go to the landlord, and how much percentage will go to the farmers who are cultivating the land physically. That is also determined by this land reform policy, and the percentage varies in different state wise and also nature of the land wise. So different nature of the land, that means if fertile land, that is percentage is different, and infertile land percentage is different. Now in case of West Bengal, 14 lakhs landless farmers, their name are registered in the government office so that they cannot be removed by the rich landlord from farming activities. This is called Operation Borga, and West Bengal government just took bold steps to implement these policies. Another, land ceiling. In the case, what is land ceiling? Land ceiling is that case the maximum percentage of land a farmer can occupy. This is to implement the land reform policy so that rich landlord cannot occupy 100 acres of the land, and this excess land to be distributed among the poor farmers. So I told that land reform policy, it is called institutional reform, and there are another reform that is called non-institutional reform, that is called green revolution. So in the case of land reform policy, it is institutional reform in the sense that it is related to land only, and green revolution, it is not related to land, it is related to agricultural inputs. What are the example of agricultural inputs? HIV seeds, chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticide, irrigation facilities, and banking facilities to provide the loans to the rural areas or to the farmers. Next, green revolution. What is green revolution? Green revolution is non-institutional revolution. It happened with the help of the HIV seeds, high yielding variety seeds, and other agricultural inputs are there. But these HIV seeds came in existence during 1960s, mid 1960s, and agricultural revolution took place. And under the leadership of which agricultural scientist M.S. Swaminathan, he actually led the movement in India. So HIV seeds, one essential condition, which is high yielding variety seeds the production is high as compared to the traditional seed. Point number one. Point number two, some chemical fertilizers are there which are essential for excess production, chemical fertilizers and also chemical pesticides. So along with the chemical fertilizers and pesticides which are also expensive, what is another thing required, that is irrigation facilities. And it is also found that these HYB seeds, the cultivation of the HYB seeds requires more water as compared to the traditional cultivation. So and so so to afford these all facilities, one is chemical fertilizers, HIV seeds, chemical pesticide, irrigation facilities. So what is required for the farmers? The another thing required for the farmer is the credit, money or credit. But most of the bank actually did not give any loan to the poor farmers because their repayment power is less. That is the main reason. Next is, so agricultural credit was given, and in 1969 14 banks were nationalized by then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, which provided, why it was these were nationalized, main reason they did not want to give the loan to the poor farmers, and uh, and their branches were in not in remote areas. So branch expanded in the remote areas, and the loan were given to the loans were given to the poor farmers, and that's why the agricultural green revolution becomes successful. But actually it is not fully successful. Now what is the reason it is not fully successful? The main reason is that point number one, it is confined to particular states. Which are the states? The states are UP, Haryana, Punjab, mainly these states, and a part of the West Bengal, Bihar. So this green revolution became successful in these states and cannot be extended throughout the country. Like South India, it was not implemented. Northeast India, it was not implemented. So it is limited area. Point number one. And point number two, actually this was in the case of limited crops. That means wheat production increased by 8 times, 8 to 10 times in some places. Rice production increased by 5 times, and vegetable production it is less than 2 times, and other production actually become double. So it was clear that that it is limited also in some crops, and it is successful in other some crops. That's why many critics are there who actually told it is not green revolution, it is wheat revolution. And another problem is, since green revolution required huge amount of the money, that's why the gap between the poor and the rich and poor farmers, it become widened. What is the reason? Because rich farmer can afford the all facilities which are needed to cultivate the HIV seeds. On the other hand, poor farmers could not afford it. That's why they remain poor. So that's why where the green revolution becomes successful, there is a gap between rich farmer and poor farmer has been widened. Next, subsidy. Subsidy is another important thing. Subsidy should be given or not. Actually, in Cancun, the WTO summit, in Cancun summit, where the WTO meeting took place, America pressurized different developing countries, especially India, so that the India government cannot give any subsidy to the poor farmer. But actually, Indian government is giving subsidy to the farmer because the condition of the farmer is very poor, and sometimes they face huge loss, and some because this type of law they has to suicide also. That is another problem. Second thing is that American government itself actually give huge subsidy to the American farmers. What is the reason? The logic of the American government is because cost of operation in agricultural operation in America is very high, cost of living is very high. That's why they are providing this type of help to the American farmers. On the other hand, they are pressurized India not to give any subsidy to the farmer. Why? So that Indian farmer, if subsidy is not given to the Indian farmer, the cost will be high. If cost is high, then the price will be high, and India cannot compete with America in international agricultural market. On the other hand, since subsidy is given to the American farmers, That's why that the price of the American produce is low, and since American produce is low, that means the wheat or other things is low. It can easily compete with the less developed countries like India. So that is the reason these are the problems of the green revolution, and also subsidy. I have already discussed. Thank you. Next day I'll teach the industrial sector. Thank you.